So for a long time, I've been struggling with finding a productivity system that could help me to manage the various endeavors as a professor and also as a content creator on YouTube and on the blogging platform of Medium. Typically, I would use Apple's very own Note application as well as the Google Docs. And so the reason for using these tools is because it could sync to the cloud. And so whatever I jot down on my iPhone would be synced to my other devices like my iPad, desktop, as well as my MacBook Pro. So this sounds great, right? But then there are some issues that are not supported by these tools. And so I'll dive into more detail as to the reason about that in this video. So for the past year, I've came across several Notion videos from productivity and tech YouTubers such as Thomas Frank, Ali Abdal, Mayuko, and also from my good friend and fellow YouTubers Kenji and Jeff Su. And so when Notion reached out, I took this as a great opportunity to give Notion a try. And so for the past 3 months, I've been tinkering with the Notion app. And so in this particular video, I'll be sharing with you my experiences and my use cases of using Notion. Thanks to Notion for sponsoring this video. And so the sign up link to Notion will be provided in the video description. And so without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, and so let's get to know Notion. So at a high level, you can use Notion to save time, increase productivity, as well as to easily find the information that you need. At first glance, Notion looks very much like the Evernote application in the sense that you're able to sync all of the information, and all of those information will be uploaded to the cloud and you could retrieve it from your other devices. However, after using Notion for quite some time, I soon discovered that there are more than meets the eye, and that Notion has rich features that are programmer friendly. And so if you are a programmer, a software developer, a software engineer, or also a data scientist, you're going to like the native support of coding styles in Notion. And so I'm going to show you that in just a moment. And another cool feature from Notion is that there are ample keyboard shortcuts. And so as I've mentioned already, that Notion helps you to save time and increase your productivity. So how so? Particularly, you could use Notion for taking notes, for managing your task, for setting goals, for managing your life, and so much more. And the thing is, there are hundreds of templates that you could select from using Notion. Notion is also a great tool for team collaboration. And if you are a one-person team, such as myself, where I manage all of my YouTube and also my blogging endeavors all by myself. And so the great thing about Notion is that you could assign tasks to different people. And so instead of assigning tasks to different people, and so I would collaborate with myself in the sense that I maintain 2 YouTube channels, Data Professor and Coding Professor. And so what I would do is I would assign tasks to either Data Professor or to both. And so I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Another great feature of Notion is that it is very customizable. And so you could tailor the tool to fit your own needs or also your team's requirements. Particularly, I've used Notion to create a course syllabus website in one of the workshops that I've taught in. I've also explored the use of Notion to create an explainer page, as well as using Notion to create a portfolio website, which I'm going to show you in this particular video. And so let's dive in and let me show you how I use Notion as a professor and also as a content creator. And in fact, the very script that I'm taking a look at right now while filming this particular video is done from within Notion. And so let me show you how I've used Notion for my work as a professor. So for one thing, I've recently held a workshop where I taught a cohort from an international conference on how to build a bioinformatics web application. And so I've created this course syllabus website with all of the pertinent information. And so you can see here that I've uploaded the cover page to the top here with a custom illustration that I've drawn on my iPad. And this is the title of the web page. And this is the information box that you can see. And this is the information about myself. This is the information about the course. This is the prerequisite of the workshop. The resources that will be helpful and which is used in the workshop are provided in this table along with the links. And so you could also click on each of these items and then it'll open up to contain further information about the topic. And then I have also included the links to the bioinformatic playlist. And the great thing here is that I could share this particular Notion page as a web page. And so I click here on share. And then you will notice here that this is the URL to the page, dataprofessor.notion.site. And then it'll have the name of the page, how to build a bioinformatics web app, and then the ID number here. And so I could click copy, and then I could share this particular link with anyone. And so they could access that as a normal website. And so let me show you. And so the particular web page would look just like this. And so there's no need to use HTML to code a website from scratch and upload it to a server and then share that link to the web page. And so all of this could be conveniently created in Notion. And then in just a few seconds, you could click share and then you get the URL to share with your peer, your coworkers, and anyone else that you would like to share your information with. And so this is one of the use cases that I've used for my work as a professor. Another use case that I've mentioned to you already is that I could include Python code directly into Notion and it would automatically support that. So let's say that I'm reading this book and I'm going to take some notes, and let's say that I've discovered some interesting code blocks that I would like to reuse in some of my research project. And so I could essentially write that down into this Notion page. And so let me show you. Let me go to one of the page here. And so let me type in the name of the book. Let me say notes from practical statistics for data scientists. And let me go to page 247, KNN, K nearest neighbor. And I'll bold this. And let's see, I could even make this a heading 1, KNN, because I've used the hashtag. And so one hashtag would mean that I'm at heading level 1. If I have 2 hashtags, it will be the smaller heading or the subheading of heading 2. And if I have 3 hashtags, it would be heading 3. And it will be much smaller. So let me show you here. KNN as a feature engine. Okay, enter. And then let's see, okay, this is from page 248. And let me write the code block here. So I'll use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control if you're using a Windows, and then / and then I'll type in code and then I'll hit on enter so that it will select the first one here, which is the code snippet. And then there you go. You could just select from the drop down whichever language that you're working on. So it has support for several. So as a data scientist and a bioinformatic researcher, I'm primarily using Python and R. And so for this particular example, I'll use Python. And so I'll type in the code here. And you'll notice here that it'll also highlight as well the code. So I could scroll left or right as well, predictors, and then I'll have outcome variable, outcome, I'll have x equal to loan data predictors, and then I'll have y equals to loan data outcome, KNN equals to k neighbor classifiers, and neighbors equals to 20, KNN.fit function, xy, and then we'll have loan data borrower score, oops, proba, and then selecting the first column, all entries, loan data borrower score, equal, and then dot describe. All right, there you go. And so this is the code block, and I'll write some description. All right, there you go. So I've written some description here. And the great thing about the Notion app here is that every line that you see, they are essentially a block. And so let me show you what does that mean. So when they are a block and you highlight your mouse to the left part here, you could drag it to any other location. And you'll notice that there's going to be a blue color cursor appearing, which is the location that you would like to drag and drop it to. And so you could even drag and drop under the block of code here, or you could drag and drop to the left of it as well. And when it goes to the left part, you're going to see that it splits into two columns. And then you could adjust the width of the blocks here. And so the code block is scrollable, so you could scroll left and right. And so the great thing here is that you could put layouts to your page to the left and to the right. You could even, you know, add another header here, like let's say Ken and code. And you can make it bold. You could make it like subheading 2, but normally I like to make it subheading 3. So you could click here to the left, and then you could say turn into, and then you can convert it into another heading level, which is heading 3, because currently it is at heading 2. And so I'll select turn into heading 3. And so it'll be a bit smaller than the heading 1 here. And so you notice that I have the explanation to the left now, and I have the code block to the right. All right, and so let me take an image from the book here. And I'll crop it a bit. Done. And I'll share it to the Notion app. And I'll select the notes from practical statistic, and I'll just save it. And let's see. It goes here. All right, there you go. It took some time to upload the image, and you can see that it is now in sync, the one on my phone and also the one on the MacBook Pro. And so it's the same image here, and so you can see that it's pretty cool in that you could take your notes or take an image, add it to your Notion app on the phone, and then automatically it will magically appear on the desktop or MacBook that you're using. And then you could just annotate this. Okay, this is like from page, this figure 6-3, and it is rules for a simple tree model fit to the loan data. Okay, and I'll make a note that this is from page 251. Simple tree model fit to loan data. All right, so you notice here that it becomes a page. Okay, and I could move this to here, or I could also move it above or below, or even underneath this part here as well, and it'll become a link here. Okay, and let's say that I would like to convert this. Let me try turn into text. And so I no longer want it to be inside a page, so I'll convert it into text, and it becomes a text box here. Pretty cool. And I could move this to the left, delete this. I could even make it 3 columns. I can move it underneath as well. Underneath this or underneath here. I'll put it underneath the image because it is the topic, or I could put it above the image, and I'll put the figure here to the bottom of the image. Right, so I could play around with the layout or even move it to the right of the image. and then move this to the top or in here. Right, so you can play around with the location of the various text box, and it's quite flexible actually. Make this heading 1, so I'll add a hashtag before it, or you could also double click on it on the block that you would like to change, and then notice here to the left you could click on the heading 1, and then you could turn it into anything else. It could be heading 2 or it could be heading 3. So let me turn it into heading 3, so it'll be a bit smaller, and so it'll be in the same level as this can encode. So let me move the can encode above here, and let's say that I would like to give this a background color, so I don't even have to click, because sometimes clicking will take some time. So what I could do here is I could use a shortcut. So I'll just hit on the shift key, I'll tap on the up button, and then I'll use the keyboard shortcut command /, and then I'll type in background, and then I'll select the color. Let's say if I like gray, I'll select gray. And notice here now that the block here is now colored gray. And so I could also add emoji as well. Forward emoji, hit on enter, and then I'll add some emoji here. Let me select the desktop icon, and I have an emoji right here. Pretty awesome, right? Let's say I'll do the same here. Shift up button, command /, and then background, and then let's say I would like to have it here to be green, right? And so they're slightly different color. And I could even customize it some more here. I could make the text here either highlighted, click on text, and I could make it a bullet list, or I could undo it, command Z, or undo it. And then I could select another color. Change it to red, and select the background to be also pink. And notice that it is the background on the text, but not the background on the code block. So let's say that I would like to have the block to have a background. So what I could do is I could also tap on shift and then down, which is quite similar to shift and up. And then I'll command /, and then I'll select another color. Let's say background to be gray. And notice now that I have both the background of the block to be gray and the background of the text to be pink. And so you could play around with the various formatting style. All right, and so this is for taking notes as a data scientist. And I'm sure this will be handy when you later on you're reviewing the notes that you have taken. And so you could reuse this in your future project as well. Because when you were reading a book and you found some interesting code block, or maybe you found some interesting illustration, you could take a photo of it, put it into the Notion webpage here. And the great thing is that you could make this into a web page at any time. You just click on share, and then you can turn on share to web, right? And it'll become a shareable URL. And you could just click on copy, right? And then go to a web page, and go to a web page here, hit on enter, and then you have access to this web page instantly, right? Pretty cool. For collaborating, you could share this to your colleague or your other team member in the research team, and then you could use this code block to implement, add it to the project. All right, so let's take a look at the Notion template for the 66 days of data. And so this particular initiative was created by Ken G, a good friend of mine and also a fellow data science YouTuber. So Ken created the 66 days of data initiative, which will help us to become accountable for our data science learning journey. And so starting from July 1st, I've participated in the 66 days of data with Ken G and also with other fellow data science YouTubers such as Josh Starmer from StatQuest. And so what you initially need to do here to participate is you would learn or do data science for at least 5 minutes a day, and then you would track your progress. And so this is how I'll track my progress. So I've created this Notion template, and so I'll share this, and then you could make a copy of this and implement this for your own journey as well. And so I could do that by easily clicking on share. I'll click here, share to web, and I'll click here, allow duplicate as template. And so it's activated, and you'll notice here that it should have a duplicate link. So let me copy the link, go to the page. All right, and this is the link. This is the page. So I think it would be better if I create a blank template. And then the thing is, you could duplicate this and then it'll be cloned inside your own Notion profile. Okay, so I could easily create a copy of this, duplicate it, right? And it becomes a copy, and then I'll rename it to template. Let me call it 66 days of data template. And I'll just, delete everything here. I'll delete it. And then you could click on new, and then add additional days to it, right? And so notice here at the bottom, I've also included some of the resources to get you started in your own learning journey of data science. And so here are some links to some data science related YouTube channels. And so I've included my own YouTube channel here, Data Professor, Kenji, Tina Wang, StatQuest, Grish Knight, Code Basic, Daniel Borg, Nate at Strata Scratch, and some of the books that I've used and I find very helpful for data science, and some of the blog posts that I've written, which is beginner friendly and which is also might be useful for practicing data scientists as well. And here are some links to podcasts related to data science, which I think would be a great way to keep us updated on the latest developments and learn from our fellow data scientists. All right, and so here you could also change the cover here at the top. Let's say that you click on change cover. You could select another color here, where you could select an image, right? Or you could even upload your own image, or you could also input the link to the image, or you could search from Unsplash and then find another image and it'll magically appear in here, right? Click on it. It should take some time to load. There you go. All right, so a lot of learning to do, right? So this image would be nice to include here. And so this is the blank page now. So I'll click on share and share to web and copy the link. So allow duplicate as template is activated. And so let's have a look at it again here. All right, so the links to this particular template will be included in the video description. All right, and so you could clone this, click on duplicate to make a copy of this for your own Notion profile. And then you could also jot down what you have learned for each of the days here and the summary of what you have learned, right? So in the tag, let me show you my own data. So for each day, I've included day 1 or day 2, and then I've included the date and the tag here. I've included whether it is related to YouTube. Like for the first day, I've watched some YouTube videos, and so I used the tag of YouTube. And so if I created content and also watch YouTube, I'll put in tags YouTube and content creation. Or how about some days, if I coded only, I'll just use the coding tag. Or maybe some days I might be reading blogs, so I'll use the blog tag. Or some days I would be teaching or also read or write blog posts, so I would click on blog and content creation. So you could see here that for the entire month of July, most days, Monday through Friday, I've either been involved with teaching a introductory Python for data science course, which I included in the tag here, shown in the purple tag. And notice that it's going to predominantly included in the tag column. And so most days have teaching and also most days have blog, because every day I would read blog posts and I would also write blog posts on the Data Professor Medium publication, where I normally would convert the Twitter update of each day of the 66 days, and then I would expand that into a more in-depth blog post. So if you're interested in that, I'll provide you a link to the particular blog post from the 66 days of data. And so let's have a look further. And so you can see here that in the summary column, I've summarized what I have learned. And essentially, it's going to be a copy and paste from my Twitter update. And so I just copy and pasted my update directly into the summary cell here. All right, and so this is the use case of Notion for my participation in the 66 days of data. And so let me show you the use case of Notion for my content creation. And so for this one, I'm very proud of this because it allows me to visualize all of the blogging endeavors and YouTube endeavors in one glance. So you can see here that I essentially have three columns: the idea column, the in progress column, and also in the published column. And so I've just started to use this for the past 3 months, and I've just recently populated this content calendar. And so let me show you. So today I've just published the AlphaFold database video. And so from the idea column here, I could move it to the published. So I just drag and drop, all right, as easy as that, and then it'll be updated, right? And so this is this particular video, how I use Notion. And so I'll probably drag and drop it to in progress because after filming this particular video, I'm going to edit it and then publish it in the next few days. And so in this column now, we now have a total count of 5. And so before it was 7, right? And then as I drag and drop it to the publish or to the in progress, from 7, it becomes 5. So you could see at a glance how many ideas you have, how many in progress you have, and also how many published you have. And so all of this is very customizable. You could change the color, you could change the emoji, you could also rename the heading here, right? I could even, add an S here, ideas. Maybe change the emoji as well, right? But I like the light bulb because light bulb is a good emoji for ideas. And so these are some of the upcoming videos on the channel. And let's click on one of them. Let's click on Autoplotter. And so the preview image that you see here on all of the items here is actually right here in the media. So what I did was click on the cell here, and then I click on to add a file, and then I'll just upload the image that I've taken on my computer. And so this is essentially just a screen capture, and so I just uploaded the image. So click on choose a file, select the image, and upload it to the server, and then it'll be used as the preview image. And so here I could also add some more notes, like a normal page here. I could add some, content here as well, or the video script as well. And then I have the link to the particular Python library right here. And then this particular task is published on Data Professor YouTube channel. So I click on assign to Data Professor, right? So if it was assigned to Coding Professor, then this video would also go to Coding Professor as well. Right, so as I mentioned to you already that I collaborated with myself here because I manage 2 YouTube channels. One is Data Professor and one is Coding Professor. And so here at a glance, I could see which one goes to which channel. And I could even add another account. It could be for blogging, right? And so I would have then 3 email accounts. So one for Coding Professor, one for Data Professor, and one for my Medium blogging account, right? And so notice that the assignee is right here underneath the tag, right? So all of these are going to be made as YouTube videos. Some of it might have a blog post, right? So I might also repurpose it as a blog post on Medium as well. And so very flexible. So I could, if I finish this, I could drag and drop here, right? I could drag and drop to publish if it's finished already. So it's very nice to see at a glance all of the projects that I'm currently working on. And if you're working in a team, you could also assign it to your coworkers as well. And another feature that I've seen is that there is this habit tracker, which is a template. So I could click on here, plus. So this particular habit tracker is a template from Notion. And so you could click on a new page and then you're going to see here that there's a template link. You just click on it. And then right here is in the habit tracker, right? So there's a wide range of templates that you could use. So under personal category, there are journal, there are task lists, there are reading lists, there are goals list. Right, so you could also set goals here. So your to do, and then whenever you're doing a task, you could move it to a doing category, and if you're finished, you could move it to the done category, right? So the great thing is in the preview here of the template, you could even play around with it, right? You could just click on it and it works. And I won't save that, right? Life wiki, so you could add information. So this becomes a page, right? And you click on it and it drills down to a dedicated page about that. So you could play around with the particular template before deciding whether to use it or not. So there are various categories to play around with. So if you're working and you have some sales report or sales data to manage, or if you're working in product management, if you're into engineering or education, as a student, you could be planning your thesis. You could set your timelines, your due dates as well, and information for you to read. And also you could even write your thesis right within Notion, right? You could click here, chapter 3 draft, click on it, and then you could just start typing your chapter 3 inside Notion. And actually, let's see, if you would like to use anything, you just select to use that particular template. So let me show you here. I mentioned that it could be used to make a portfolio website. So let me show you this example that I've seen, and it's pretty good. And so I'll provide you the link to this as well. And so this is a personal website. Let me make a duplicate of this. Okay, so I'll delete this. Right here it says to delete me. I'll delete it. Okay, so it's created by Liam, right? And then you just change this to your own name, and then you just change the photo here, upload the image of your own image, and then you could update this with your other activity images, and then you just update what you do here, right? And then you notice here that it's like a web page. You click on it, and then you could update the about me information. And then when you're ready to share it, you click on share to the web, and then it'll have the URL, and you can copy it and share this portfolio website. And so your projects in your portfolio website could be shared right within Notion. And even the code block, code snippets could be included right inside Notion, as I've shown you just a few moments ago. And I've noticed here that there is a web hosting provider based on Notion, right? Host notion.co and super.so. So these web hosting services are based on Notion. And let me show you this one. So recently I bought an ebook from Vlad, and it is a web developer knowledge base. So he developed this, and I think I maybe typed in too much D, I'm not sure. And so this is a ebook that Vlad created. And so this is a creative way to use Notion to create an ebook. And so all of the chapters are here, right? And then if you click on one of the chapter, you're going to see that chapter as a Notion page, right? And so each of the sections here are the various heading levels, right? You have here as heading 1. I mean, this is the page title, and you could make this as a heading 1 if you like, right? So it'll be bigger. And you could also create sub-pages or even links to other YouTube playlists. You could also embed a YouTube video right inside here as well. So this is a creative way of using Notion to create an ebook. And so maybe one day in the future, I might create an ebook, and maybe it could be created using Notion as well. And so as you can see, I've shown you some of the use cases that I've personally used Notion for, such as for creating the 66 Days of Data template, which was inspired from Kenji's own version of it. And I've tracked all of my daily learning routines, all of the tasks that I've been doing. I've also shown you how to create a Notion page where you could take an image on your iPhone and it'll easily export to the Notion page, and then it'll be synced to the cloud and then uploaded automatically into the Notion page. And also how to create code blocks for Python or for R as you're reading the books. So when you're reading the book, you're taking notes, and then you save some of the interesting code blocks for later usage and save it directly into Notion. And so let's talk about some of the things that I really like about Notion. So for one is the code blocks that I have mentioned, right? It supports several programming languages. So primarily as a data scientist and a bioinformatics professor, I really like the fact that it allows me to save my code blocks in Python or in R right inside the Notion page. And another great thing that I like about is that it supports the Markdown style syntax. And so I'm already familiar with Markdown, and the ability to use Markdown syntax right inside Notion means that I could get started right away in formatting it. So that means that there's little time to learn new syntax that are specific to Notion. And aside from the Markdown syntax, is that I like the modular and the flexibility of the blocks in Notion. Because the thing is, you could create a Notion block, and then in the future, when you decide that you would like to convert it into something else, you could easily do that. Thank you for watching until the end of this video. So I'll provide you the link to the keyboard shortcuts that I've used for learning to use Notion. And I'll provide you all of the links to the 66 Days of Data template, as well as the example portfolio website that I've shown you, and also the example ebook. I'll provide a link to that as well. And if you're enjoying this video, please support the channel by smashing the like button, subscribing if you haven't already, and also turn on notifications in order to be notified of the next video. And as always, the best way to learn data science is to do data science. And please enjoy the journey.